Hello, I'm Des Kennedy, and I'm standing in one of my favorite places in the whole world, our vegetable patch on Denman Island in British Columbia. This is where the bulk of our food comes from, and even now, in the final dregs of winter, we can root around in the soil and pull out a fresh organic carrot. It's great to grow your own because you know exactly what you're eating, but most of us run the risk of having to eat something like this. This is a tomato that was grown I don't know where, fertilized and sprayed with I don't know quite what, shipped I don't know how many hundreds or thousands of kilometers, and stored in a warehouse for I don't know how many weeks. It may or may not contain the genes of a muskrat. This show is about food, about changing the food system so that everyone can afford to eat and know that what we eat is really nourishing us. So, we begin by asking, how did so much of what we eat, which is really what we are, get to be so nutritionally worthless and tasteless? When did we start believing that how food looks is what's most important?
I mean, what was the apple in the Garden of Eden, I wonder about? Was it perfect, that it was waxed? You know, I doubt it. And maybe Adam had to get his pocket knife out and take off the scab, but the apple was perfectly good.
You know, if you look at early on at some of the earlier advertising around fresh fruits and vegetables, there was a definite shift as companies began to realize that by making their product look cosmetically perfect, they could actually increase their demand for it. Consumer demand doesn't necessarily drive what's going on. I mean, did consumers demand that that companies spend $20 million developing Pringles potato chips, the ones that fit into those tubes? I mean, there weren't consumers walking around saying, give me a potato chip that fits in a tube.
For most of human history, people grew a certain amount of their food close to where they lived. We then come into a 20th century where we say it's not efficient to have everybody growing their food. It's not efficient to have rural life. We have an industrial society. Some people are going to grow food for other people, and all of us are going to buy it. And food used to be somewhere closer to raising kids and how we felt about ourselves to what it is now, where it's each year becoming more and more something outside of our reach that the marketplace does for us.
Food is actually common property in my view. It should not be a strictly market commodity because it is one of the 3 biological requirements for life. It is fundamentally different than, batteries or car tires.